All right, well, basically this whole project started with, I think it was Jim emailing me about a sculpture. And I've never done sculpture work before. I'm more of a painter, and I didn't know why he was emailing me about doing anything. So I had to think on it for a while, and like I really didn't want to like stray too far from what I do as an artist. And I think Jim met me in the middle, and we came up with this two-side panel idea, and you know, it pretty much turned out exactly how I pictured it. And I think if I were to do it, it would have been hacked up and cut with a jigsaw or something. But he did all the fancy work in sourcing all the materials, and you know, it's quite amazing to see all the work he's done. And I like when people are enthusiastic about what I'm doing, and it just makes everything so much easier. And as soon as I got that idea, I had to come up with another idea of what the content of the art would represent. And I basically just, all my work involves like a spiritual connection to all beings, from animals to the plants to everything that Anishinaabe culture has done. And you know, like all our families and all of these animals here, they represent like our ancestors, our relatives. You know, they look after us, we look after them. And the main story for this is a creation story. Anishinaabe people have creation stories for just about everything. I think the most popular one is about the creation of the world, but this one is about the connection to this world and a spiritual world where Nanabush was sort of lost, and he lost that connection to his the great mystery. And so an owl seen him in his despair, and in short summary, he offered his eyes to the Nanabush. And all of these circles here kind of represent his eyes, and the yellow represents the color of the owl's eyes. So all of these animals have that symbolism in them. Even the flowers you can see in the middle has that yellow. And I think it's just a gift. That story just represents a gift that the owl gave to Anishinaabe people, because we see all these things, we see these connections. That's why there's line work in all of these animals. They go from the wings to, they go from stuff like this circle here. It represents a heartberry. In Anishinaabe Moan, we call that Odamin, and that's sort of like strawberries. They're connected to the ground. They have leaves, they have roots, and a whole system there that we don't really understand. And the same with our hearts, you know, it's all connected. It goes from the eyes, it goes from the heart all the way down to their paws, and it's kind of keeping us grounded. So when we're picking medicines, or when you shake someone's hand, you know, that spirit's traveling from the heart into the people. And yeah, there's like so much to say about all of this, because this is like, it means so much. There's interconnectedness in everything. Like these animals that I've painted are very common in my artwork. They all depict stories that I've heard growing up. And like this kingfisher is my grandmother. That's her clan. So every time I do a kingfisher, it reminds me of my grandmother. You know, and she's always wearing purple and sort of lavender colors. So that's what I think of when I come up with colors. And it also associates with more like Oji-Cree sacred stories, you know. This here is sort of based on a wampum shell. And right here you'll see like a half circle, a divided circle, and that represents a amigus. It's a shell, a fossilized shell that people back then they would wear on their necklaces or some sort of regalia attached to their ceremonial outfits, and that was to show, like, to honor that connection that I just talked about, because there's two halves to this shell with the divided line, and that's what that symbol represents, the duality of like night and day, this world, the spirit world. You know, there's so much that little tiny shell represents. You know, and a lot of these you'll see here, there's like little kind of line work that comes through here, and a lot of those lines represent stuff like almost like a education. You know, there's levels to education. There's knowledge. You gain knowledge, and it's sort of like you're on a path. You gain knowledge, and there's another path to gain more knowledge stuff here. You know, so say someone wanted to build birch bark canoes or baskets, they would have to learn about the tools. They would have to learn about how to gather the materials to make the tools before they even make a canoe. So they would have to learn about the wigwas, the trees, and the perfect time to harvest that, because like it's not the same quality throughout the years. There's certain times of years that you can do those sort of things. I also like to reference the 13 moons to kind of because that's our calendar. You know, a certain time of the year you'll see a full moon. We'll call it strawberry moon, ricing moon. And those are our teachings to kind of guide us in doing those sort of things. And when we pass those teachings on, you know, we'll be able to teach our generation to feed themselves, to be able to live Anishinaabe life, not physically, you know, more spiritually. And like a bear is usually takes up a lot of like space on my canvas. It represents healing to me, because a bear would like make a lodge for itself, and I think when a bear goes into a lodge, it sort of represents us going into a lodge and kind of connecting, resting our spirit and resting our physical bodies. And you know, that's, yeah. The beaver, yeah, you know, just like everything, you know, we relied on beavers. Beavers kind of shaped the land for us, and you can see the Ottoman representation in that. I have something here. Someone asked me about why there's a circle sort of near the tail. And that represents a castor. Beavers have castors, sort of like a gland that they would use to protect themselves from water and keep themselves waterproof and clean. And native people, they would harvest that and they would use it for offerings and medicines. They would usually grind it up and smoke it. I remember when I was a kid, I would see them sort of nailed to my porch, and I would always wonder what it was, and I would be smelling it, and my grandpa would kind of laugh at me because I didn't realize I was smelling the beaver's gland. Like, it's used in like perfume on like modern times, and I think they stopped that now for like ethnical reasons. Of course, like the beaver, it almost in a way, a trapper's way of like saying it's kind of giving itself to us when it goes into our traps. It's giving us its life so we can survive with its fur and its meat and its many uses of sinew and fats, and you know, like even down to its teeth. We used its teeth for etching, for carving, because it makes sense, right? Like a beaver chews wood, it'd be a pretty good carving tool. My dad was a woodland artist. He did very much similar work. You know, like I've learned a lot from him just from watching him and being around him all my life. So like growing up, most of my walls were covered with art, and once in a while he'd get me to come and help him sort of block in colors. And when the people came out to help me block in colors, it kind of brought me back to being in his basement studio and, you know, helping him out. I remember him saying that, you know, when I first started out, I was just copying sort of his way of doing things, and he said eventually you'll start to find your own way and find your own story of what makes you an artist. And I think I'm slowly starting to understand that. It's really, I'm just very thankful for everyone who came out to help me, and it really just wanted me to, kind of inspired me to pass this on to people that want to learn. And you know, it's been very, very good to me. You know, I wake up every day and I have something to do. I got paintings to do, and you know, it doesn't feel like work when it's like that. I get to travel around and meet people like Jim and Myra that are very nice to us. You know, we got to stay in their cottage. They opened up their house to us. They fed us, and it's really all because of artwork. You know, I go to so many cool places, and I feel like Adrienne kind of motivates me to keep going with that. I feel like almost everyone that I've associated myself with is because of her. You know, I'm kind of a quiet guy. I'd probably just be hanging out in my apartment painting all day if it wasn't for her. Yeah, I'm just thankful for everything. My life has been like a huge 180 since I've kind of opened up to my culture more, and the representation is very important because, like I said, it brought me home a bit. And like, I'm sure when Indigenous people walk through here and they see this, it's very welcoming to them, you know, because bringing Indigenous people into spaces like this is important. It wasn't like that. It's a new thing with the whole truth and reconciliation. And I think we're headed in a good way. I'm not sure what else to say other than thank you guys. Anybody that came out to help.